Good afternoon. Hurricane Ida has impacted hundreds of thousands of people, if not more. And, I've gotten, and other public adjusters are getting thousands of calls. I mean, people are reaching out, asking for help, and, we're trying to help everybody, and sadly, we cannot help everybody. So, I'm going to provide some clarity so that you can take advantage yourself to understand when to reach out and understand what's actually covered, what's not covered, and so on. Okay, I'm going to cover a variety of things. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible so that you can really get a chance to review the whole thing and really understand. I'm sorry the lighting is not perfect over here. So I'm going to try to cover what the importance, why it's so important to clarify and understand what is covered, what the actual peril is, what is the cause of loss, understanding the common damages resulting from the wind, rain, and tornadoes and things like that, and what might actually be covered, how to move forward after the loss, what to do if you're not covered, and what actually a public adjuster may be able to assist. Yes, I do cover that as well. So, variety of things, right? Number one, when somebody gets impacted by a loss, it's very important to understand what it is that actually is triggering the coverage or potentially triggering the coverage. What caused the loss? So, a lot of people say, well, it's flood. Not always. Most of the time, it's not flood, right? So, what is defined as flood? What is defined as other things? So, let's cover a variety of things. Let's cover sewer backup, okay? Let's start with sewer backup. Sewer backup is when the sewer, the drainage of the house starts backing up. So sometimes it's an overflow of the sewer system. Sometimes it's the sub pump that goes out. A variety of different things can happen, but the sewer system is backing up into the home. That's a sewer backup. Generally, that has limited coverage, $5,000 to $10,000 of coverage. I've seen $50,000 of coverage, and more often than not, I see zero coverage. Okay, so it really has to be something that's generally endorsed in the policy. Most endorsements of the policy, now endorsement could add or subtract. Most endorsements of the policy, when it comes to sewer backup, get rid of it or reduce it to $5,000 or $10,000. So that has to be understood in order to understand moving forward. Do you have coverage? Most of the time, if somebody calls me for a sewer backup, I tell them, listen, you got $5,000, $10,000 of coverage, you got $30,000 of damage, clear damage, just call the insurance company yourself. I'm not going to bring value to you. Go ahead and file the claim yourself. But you have to clarify and confirm, is this sewer backup? And the sewer backup is when the sewer system is actually backing up. Next, we have ground seepage. Ground seepage is when the water hit the ground and then comes in, whether through the walls, through the floor, through the ground, or through the doors and windows after hitting the ground. So it's hitting the ground and then coming through. Okay, if it's coming through the doors and windows without hitting the ground first, that's not water seepage. So we're talking about ground seepage. It hits the ground first and then comes in. Now this, sadly, I've yet to see policy that covers this unless it's covered on the flood or some other potential trigger. Okay, so generally talking, this is not a covered loss. Okay, and that's commonly what happens in a variety of cases when there's rain and things like that, and it does not classify it as flood, then it's water seepage and not covered. Okay, a lot of times people have mildew in the basement and things like that. Ground seepage, not covered. Next, third thing, flood. Flood is when it meets the criteria set by FEMA. Okay, FEMA has specific criteria. The National Flood Insurance Program, it was created and specifically classifies that a flood is when there is 2 or more acres covered or 2 or more properties, homes that are affected, by the flood. Then it is classified as flood. Now, for flood, you have to have flood insurance. Most people that are not in flood zones do not have flood insurance, and a lot of the flooding happens outside of flood zones as well, and people don't have flood insurance, and that is not covered unless one has flood insurance. Okay, so now that is what classified as flood. Most people call it a water leak, accidental discharge, all the different variety of water leaks, and it's not flood. If it's not flood, it's not covered by flood. And if it is flood, it's only going to be covered if one has the policy specifically for flood insurance. Third thing, wind, rain. When there's a hurricane, a tornado, or just a regular storm, wind, rain, or wind-driven rain is generally covered under most policies. Okay, so we're talking about wind, whether it blown around the shingles, whether it ripped off siding, whether it moves other things, trees on the home. These variety of things can generally be covered under the policy, right? Because it is simple wind, rain, and it's generally a covered loss under most policies. Okay, now mostly covered. So that's an easy one to be handled within, once again, you're always within the dynamics of the policy. Now you have hurricanes, tornadoes. Hurricanes, tornadoes takes the wind and rain and makes it a lot worse. Normally a named storm, Hurricane Ida, etc. Now these limitations, yes, you're going to have the coverages like wind, rain, and wind-driven rain. However, they are commonly have endorsements which provide deductibles. Sadly, you're going to have $1,000 deductible for wind or rain, but when it's classified as a hurricane or a named or a tornado or something like that, it may fall under a classification that has a deductible. Now, I'm not going to tell you as a broad statement because each policy is different. But many policies have that if it meets the criteria of a certain amount of winds, whether it's 74 miles per hour or it's classified as a named hurricane, it now hits above the tropical storm and it hits a hurricane, and it has a deductible such as a $10,000 deductible, or more commonly a 2 to 5% deductible. So if you have a $500,000 policy and you have 5% deductible, that's $25,000 in deductible. You have a 2% deductible on the 20. That's going to be $12,500. So you're going to have, that's going to have 2% deductible is going to be $10,000. You're going to have a high deductible on those type of policies. Okay, so just be aware. Once again, you're classifying what is the damage. You have clarity to what the damage is. Now you can have clarity to what the coverage is and what the deductibles are. Next, you have lightning, fire, smoke. The result of the water getting into homes or lightning can then result into potentially fire, smoke. These other things that just go hand in hand, you just have sometimes where that happens. It's not as often, dealing with these losses, but there are times that you're going to have additional losses that are not in the other common losses. You have to understand, and if there's something that's fire happens in the basement, now you have smoke all over the place, that's a different loss. Right, and you can actually separate the losses. We've had times where we have somebody calls us for a flood, and the entire basement is flooded, but everything else was damaged from the wind. So even though we may not have flood insurance, we may get the upper half of the home covered based on the wind because of all the rain coming in. So once again, you have to classify and understand the separating of coverages. You may have multiple coverages in one home, in one what you may feel is one incident, but it's actually two separate coverages or even more, and that has to be separated appropriately because you'll have separate results. Okay, so and lightning, fire, and smoke, once again, mostly covered within the policy. Same like the wind and the rain, mostly covered within the policy. Once again, still falling within the dynamics of the policy. Okay, so that covers the classification. So if you understand what it is, like if you can clarify what it is that triggered the loss, now you can look at the policy and figure, okay, what coverage do we actually have? Okay, and now when you present something to the insurance company, you can potentially get the results you need. If you call the insurance company and say, well, I have flood, and it's not a flood, they're going to still tell you it's denied. Okay, because you've not clarified what is the coverage. Okay, now, once a loss happens, it is very important to meet the criteria, the necessity, the criteria of duties after a loss. You now have the obligation to take care of your property so that you're making sure you do not have additional loss. Okay, that means, yes, you have to notify the insurance company within a reasonable time frame, and that reasonable time frame depends on a variety of things. Every state is a different statement. So once again, I'm talking about a broad statement over here. State by state has different requirements. I'm not an attorney. I'm not, I'm a licensed public adjuster. I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to give you specific factors of law. I'm here to tell you what I see, what I understand, and also make sure you understand that though I tell you one thing, every single state has its different statements and as different laws, and every single policy has different factors in it. Now, obviously, state overrides the factors of the policy, but they go hand in hand. You have to understand both. Okay, your case is your case. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. But here's the general concepts. The general concepts is you have to notify the insurance company. You have to give them the opportunity to inspect it. You also have to mitigate the damage. You have to stop the damage from growing. That does mean cover the roof with a tarp or whatever it may be. Protect your property. Protect your property from theft. Okay. It also means to separate the damages, the stuff that is garbage and the stuff that can be repaired. Okay, or the stuff that could be saved. Right. We do not want that stuff to get worse. We want a proper mitigation company. When I deal with losses, if I come in and I do not have a mitigation and the place is full of water, I do not accept the loss without the mitigation getting involved, because that loss has to be reduced. Okay, we do not want that loss growing. We do not want mold issues and things like that. If there's no mitigation involved, I'm not interested in getting involved in helping, because I can't help. I'm not going to get the results I need. Okay, so we have to stop the damage from growing. Okay, that is a vital aspect, and just as important is documentation. If something happens and you cannot show the insurance company what happened, if you do not have pictures, you do not have video, you do not have proof, you're not going to get paid. You call somebody and you pay them cash without a receipt. Don't ask me to get you paid, because 9 out of 10 times they won't pay you because they need proof. The saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words is 100% true when it comes to insurance. You need to show them what it is that got damaged, and when I get involved, my job is to help you as a licensed public adjuster. I work for the public, those that hire me within the public, right? To help present to the insurance company what to pay and why, right? I need that documentation. I'm not there day one. I'll sort through it. I'm there to help you, and when I get involved, I'm there taking pictures, right? I do use 3D, a Matterport. I do a whole variety of things that my system that's in place to help me through that process. But day one, you're there, not me. The client, the insured, is there. Got to take pictures of what's there so that then we can look back. People call me for roof damage and then they don't have pictures. How am I supposed to help if you can't help yourself? I can help you and guide you through the process if you take control yourself. Then we can work together to get the result we need. Okay? So yes, you need proper documentation for everything. And don't throw out those expensive items, because once again, you need an insurance company to be able to inspect it. And just as importantly, that item might be able to be repairable. So if you're going to tell me, well, I had something that got wet, maybe we can repair it. You'll be surprised what we can do. Not everything. A lot of things cannot be repaired. But the insurance company is not going to want to pay for things that could be repaired. So that has to be understood, and do not throw things out if you can help it. Okay? Now, so we went through clarifying what the cause of losses. Okay, what is the actual cause? We understand the common damages and what what is actually may be covered. Okay, we understand how to move forward. Now, what if you don't have coverage? You still want to reduce the loss, so you still want to do the mitigation, though the mitigation companies, the companies that come out to remove the damages, may not want to come out to you, especially in such a loss like this, because they want to go straight out to the companies that actually, to the clients that actually have coverage. But you still have to stop the damage from happening, and you still may want to document so you have clarity just in case you need it. But one of those things that most people do not take advantage of is there may be local programs, there may be local relief programs to help you. So search your local area, find out, is there any programs that can actually help me? Okay? Now, as a licensed public adjuster, we help people with these things and help people guide people through the process, and then do what we can. We create the estimates for the replacement and things like that. And I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody who needs help, but because of the quantity of people calling me, please do me a favor, spread this video and have people listen to this. Together with this video, you're going to have both YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm going to put the article that I've written, which clarifies what I've just told you in the video. Please spread the word out to help people understand what is actually covered, understanding how to read the policy, so that I can actually be of assistance to people. If people come to me and they do not have proper documentation, they never took pictures, they threw things out, I cannot help to get them reimbursed for those items. So please, you do your part in protecting yourself and taking care of yourself, so that myself or another public adjuster or even the insurance company can actually provide you with the results you need. As a public adjuster, we help you through that process, but we cannot do the initial stuff. We cannot be right beside you all the time. So please take advantage of being yourself and taking care of yourself. May we all have a blessed year ahead. May we all have success and never need to reach out to myself or other public adjusters. May we be able to be happy and joyful throughout. All the best. Have a fantastic year ahead and success. Be well.